Only when we pay mindful attention can we notice these functions. If we do not pay attention, we don't know that they are there. And therefore paying attention is very important. As we keep paying attention to this, we notice our breath becomes calm and calmer and calmer. The body becomes calmer and calmer, and the mind becomes calmer and calmer. When all these three segments, the breath, body and mind, are calm, our desire for anything would fade away. Desire arouses our energy, excitement, distractions. When the mind is calm, no such greed, desire, clinging, craving arises in our mind. Once it is taken care of, the mind begins to experience relaxed state, peaceful state. Although it is not perfect peace, and yet it is relatively peaceful. At that stage, no resentment arises in our mind, because when mind is peaceful and calm, it will be filled with loving, friendly feelings. That is the time we all feel that we are one, we all are friends who don't like pain and suffering. So with this state, we continue our practice, keep focusing mind on the breathing, and then when the friendly feeling arises, resentment fades away, and then when mind is calm, resentment is gone, feel friendly, that is a good situation for sleepiness and drowsiness to arise. When sleepiness and drowsiness arises, we don't know what we are doing, we cannot understand, we cannot feel, and it is so enticing, tempting, we might fall asleep. Falling asleep will not bring us insight, mindfulness. And therefore we have to overcome sleepiness and drowsiness by arousing our spiritual energy. We have to think that this is a very precious moment. We have many, many moments to sleep, but we don't get many moments to meditate. And this is such a rare moment that we are experiencing, and we want to stay on practicing. So we advise ourselves and make firm commitment, determination to stay on the practice. And then sleepiness and drowsiness fade away. When it fades away, its opposite can arise, restlessness and worry. Too much energy, too much agitation, too many things we have left undone or done incorrectly. Too many things are await us in future for us to do. So those things bring our mind to the past and to the future. It goes to the past and goes to the future. And that also is not going to help us. So we must bring our mind to the present moment. present moment is the breath. We experience it and focus mind again on the present moment. Then when all this happen, we gain confidence. Confidence in us, confidence in the Buddha who introduced the method of mindfulness meditation. So we have confidence in the Buddha. And we see the truth of Dhamma. That also brings arouse and strengthen our confidence. It will be enhanced by our own personal experience. When we see that we can do this practice, we have gained some success. Seeing all this, we overcome our doubt and have confidence. With this confidence, we keep focusing mind on the breath again to see the deeper awareness of something that we normally always don't see. That is our gaining concentration and our understanding of the nature of appearing and disappearing. Everything we experience is appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing. Nothing remain static or fixed. And with this, I like to stop this short, very brief instructions, and then we spend the rest of the time till 10:30 meditating. Let us spend our time in meditation. by means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time I attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering, may the fear-struck be free from fear, may the grieving be free from grief, so too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, friends, we want to spend the rest of this morning talking on the remaining part of the factors of enlightenment. Today I want to pick up concentration once again. We spoke on attaining a concentration, attaining jhanas. We mentioned the state of first jhana, second jhana, third jhana. Today I want to spend some time talking about the fourth jhana. Fourth jhana is the culmination of concentration, right concentration, meditation. It is described as in the formula like with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, one enters and dwells in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, as purity of mindfulness and equanimity. We said equanimity arises in the third jhana, and it comes to perfections in the fourth jhana. And therefore, when one attains the fourth jhana, we can see both mindfulness and concentration are purified. When the mindfulness and concentration are purified, that is a very, very powerful mental state. It has all the physical impurities and verbal impurities and mental impurities and the thought of sensual pleasures, anger, and hurting others, thought of thinking of relatives, teachers, and so forth. All these thoughts become impediment to jhanic state. And thinking of the country, politics, and so forth. And some thought connected with the fact of not being inferior, or one feels inferior. These are all mental impurities. Therefore, these impurities are gone when we attain the fourth jhana. And in addition, there are some other mental factors. 16 of them are listed in Majjhima Nikaya in the discourse called Vattupama Sutta. simile, close simile discourse. These impurities are covetousness and unrighteous imperfection, that is a defilement in the mind, and ill will, anger, resentment, conceit, insolence, envy, avarice, deceit, fraud, and obstinacy, rivalry, conceit, then arrogance, vanity, and negligence. These are the impurities that are overcome when we attain the fourth jhana. And therefore, the Buddha said, when one attains the fourth jhana, the mind is concentrated and purified, cleansed, and unblemished, rid of defilements, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attain to imperturbability. And when such a mind, when mind is so powerful, it has samadhi bala. I mentioned the other day, it is a perfect indriya, faculty, concentration faculty. And this concentration faculty is, it becomes power, bala, called samadhi bala, the strength, power of concentration. And with this state of mind, the meditator is in a very high mental state. So with this mental state, that person can direct his mind towards destruction of defilement, all the defilements. They were subsided, now he has destroyed all of them, and then with that pure state of mind, he can focus on the suffering in the finest, most refined state of suffering. That means whatever suffering is there, that person with pure state of mind, it is unbiased, unprejudiced, full of equanimity, full of mindfulness. With these qualities of the mind, that person can focus on the Four Noble Truths. We see suffering superficially, not very deeply. Our understanding of suffering is very shallow, not deep. Why? The mind is not very clean of various impurities. When we attain the jhanas, the mind is very clear, clean, and is still not 100% free from defilements until one sees the suffering, its cause, its end, and the path leading to the end of suffering. And therefore, this is a very good state for one to focus mind on the Four Noble Truths, that he can see then very clearly. That is why the Buddha repeatedly said, Samahitang chittang yatha bhutang pajanati. Concentrated mind sees things exactly as they are. What do we see with concentrated mind? We see suffering without any second thought, without any hesitation, without holding back something. Because normally people even don't want to talk about suffering. They don't want to talk about suffering. But when the mind is gain this kind of concentration, the person does not talk to others. Person sees within himself or herself what suffering is. Because the person is full of mindfulness and full of equanimity. One has to have a very balanced, healthy, emotion-free state of mind to see suffering. This is the high level of the development of concentration. With that state, that person can see the Four Noble Truths. And Buddha says in Anguttara Nikaya, the person, Buddha said, is just like the warrior who takes up a sword and shield. In those days, warriors had sword and shield, not machine guns. So the warrior with the sword and shield, arms with bow and arrow, enters the fray of battle, and having triumphed in that battle, emerges victorious and settle as the head of the battlefield. Similarly, a person who attains this state overcome the all mental impurities and gain this kind of knowledge, is like a warrior, and he does not have any fear or hesitation in his mind, because he conquered all defilements. And it is he who said, I have done what was to be done. I have lived holy life. There is nothing more to do. Nothing more to do for that person. And this is the end of existence in samsaric suffering. So attainment of jhana, the highest jhana, is the fourth jhana. When you are in that state, these are the qualities you have in your mind. When you have these qualities, the mind is so pure and strong, and this is not just becoming like a vegetable and not knowing anything, but that is the time you know everything. Not knowing anything, but you know everything. What is everything? You have seen all the defilements. You have seen the Four Noble Truths and dependent origination. That's all one has to know to liberate oneself from suffering. So, I like to bring out some of the key points of gaining concentration. The concentration, as I mentioned, some people gain concentration very quickly. Gaining concentration very quickly doesn't mean that you have gained right concentration. When you gain concentration very quickly, you fall asleep or you don't know anything. You are just in the blank state of mind. But this right concentration, when you gain, the mind is so alert, agile, flexible, pure, clean, free from idiosyncrasies, and you will be able to focus your mind all the defilements, including understanding suffering. You can understand suffering as it is. So the first, one must make sure that your concentration is wholesome and free from hindrances. As we mentioned, that you have to understand. All of a sudden you become concentrated and you don't know anything, is not real concentration, but you must understand, I gained this concentration by overcoming my hindrances, 5 hindrances. And if you don't remember, you look at your mind and see, is there any hindrance, any of them? So if there is no hindrances, you know you are going in the right direction. That is number one. Then one must make skillful effort, right effort. Right effort is the effort to understand that hindrances are not there and to prevent them from arising. In that state of mind also, sometimes hindrance can arise. If one hindrance arises, you lose your concentration, your jhana. So you have to make an effort to prevent any hindrance from arising in the mind. And make the effort, if hindrances arise, to overcome that hindrance. And then you have to make effort to nourish the concentration that you gain. That means you stay still, peaceful, balanced with this effort. And then the other part of right concentration is keep repeating it again and again and again. That is called development. Then you keep focusing mind on your chosen object. What is the mind? What is the object you have chosen for your practice? Is your breath. Because breath has all the necessary qualities for maintaining concentration. It is pure, clean, without any conditions. It is it keeps us alive, and therefore it is also rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, which is the fundamental rule, fundamental truth, the law, element of all existing things, rising and falling, rising and falling, rising and falling. And therefore, keep coming back to that breath. Then you have to maintain that your mind is in the present moment. Don't think of the past, don't think of the future, but keep the mind focused on the present moment, this very moment, and maintain that balance. Be alert. If your mind is sluggish or sleepy, you have to awake yourself to overcome that drowsiness, sleepiness, and also don't try to get too excited thinking that you have attained higher level and everything is over. Not that kind of very quick flow of overjoy. Then, so having overcome your sleepiness and so forth, you maintain your mental state. And your goal is to use concentration as powerful tool to penetrate three things. Penetrate three things. When you see, as I repeatedly mentioned many times, the finest state of rising and falling and rising and falling, you will see the most fundamental, basic three things in existence. What are they? Number one, impermanence. Impermanence. Number two, that which is impermanent is unsatisfactory, suffering. You have to see that. Whatever is impermanent is suffering. You may argue with anybody, you may argue with me, but you cannot deny this truth. Anything impermanent is suffering. Anything impermanent is suffering, and therefore there is no any overlordship inside us to control this. No overlordship, no one can control impermanence to make it permanent. No one can make suffering to say it is otherwise. If something is impermanent, it is suffering. And no one, therefore, is there to control all these things, but we have to understand this is the nature of existence. And we have to understand it to overcome this nature. By attaining liberation, we don't stop suffering. We cannot stop impermanence. We can stop suffering, but whatever is impermanent is suffering. Even after attainment of enlightenment, we have impermanence. our body, feeling, perception and so on are impermanent even after attaining enlightenment. However, there is a difference between enlightened person's attitude towards suffering and unenlightened person's attitude towards suffering, or attitude towards impermanence. And enlightened person's attitude towards impermanence is permanent attitude. Unenlightened person's attitude towards impermanence is impermanent attitude, imperfect attitude. What is the perfect attitude? Attitude of understanding, mindfulness, and unshaken mind. The person's mind does not shake. That is why in the Mangala Sutta, Buddha said the last stanza in the Mangala Sutta, Puttasa lokadamme chittang yasa nakampati. When one sees the truth of impermanence, the mind will not be shaken. The person will have an unshaken state of mind. And that is the state where you are coming out of your ignorance, coming out of your darkness of ignorance in the mind. The darkness or ignorance will disappear and light will appear. That is exactly what the Buddha said when he attained enlightenment. He says, Aloko udapadi, light arose in me, vision arose in me, light arose in him. So, the light vision is the absence of ignorance. And he said, that is the state the mind becomes free from sankhara, conditions. And he said, visankhara gatan chittang. He said his mind became free from conditioning and conditions. So, when one is in that state, the mind becomes free from conditioning, and therefore impermanence is not bringing suffering to that person. Ordinary people who have not this knowledge, don't have this knowledge, this understanding, this realization, when pleasure arises, they rejoice it. When pain arises, say grief. When they gain something, they rejoice. When they lose something, they will regret and get even angry. When they become famous, they are full of joy. When they lose their popularity, they get upset. When we see impermanence exactly as it is, when you gain something, you don't be overly joyed. When you lose something, you will not be sad, because you know this is impermanent, that is impermanent, gain is impermanent, loss is impermanent, fame is impermanent, unpopularity is impermanent, nothing is permanent. That is the difference between enlightened person's understanding of impermanence and unenlightened person's understanding of impermanence. this is the difference. And therefore, an enlightened person's mind will not be shaken, disturbed, the person will not be disappointed, because he sees the truth, established truth, law of true Dhamma, and element of Dhamma he sees. And this happens only when we gain right concentration with mindfulness and equanimity. Friends, this is achievable goal. This is not a dream, not a philosophy or just a theory. This is an achievable goal, and therefore we must try slowly and gradually we can get there. With this, friends, I want to end this morning's talk. I have one more factor of the factors of enlightenment, that is equanimity. Next week I will talk about equanimity. Sometimes when you hear the word equanimity, one might think, what is there to talk about? There are a lot of things to talk about. We will see. So, with this, I want to end this morning's talk, and I want to once again do my benediction, wishing those who are in pain and suffering, especially this COVID-19 is not over, and some people are still in hospitals, and all others who are sick, taken care of by doctors, nurses, and various hospital staffs. May they recover soon and live long in very good health. And then there are people who have lost their relatives and friends, and they have been grieving. I hope they understand Dhamma, understand the truth, and slowly and gradually try to grip the truth and live in peace and harmony and good health, understanding Dhamma, and continue the practice of Dhamma. And there are many people who are doctors and nurses in hospitals and hospital staff who dedicate their life and sacrifice their life, risk the life, because they also can get infected by this disease, and they must have extra caution to stay healthy. And we hope and wish may they continue their wonderful compassionate service, to continue their wonderful service. There are many people who are supporting, especially those who have invented these various type of vaccinations, and now they are giving to people, and we want to wish that vaccines would work and stop this virus spreading anymore. And in overall, we want to wish everyone be peaceful and happy, live long in very good health, and thank you very much for joining us in this morning session. Thank you.